Today we're digging into 10 filthy, awkward, boundary-pushing movies that somehow made their way onto streaming. Some are funny, some are gross, a few are just completely unhinged. Everyone walked into theaters in 1995 expecting a sleek erotic thriller, but Showgirls delivered a vicious, neon-soaked meltdown instead. Elizabeth Berkley plays a drifter trying to make it as a dancer, and everything spirals into absolute madness. Dancers push each other downstairs. They literally attack each other with their manicures. For decades, audiences wrote the project off as an unwatchable disaster, completely missing that it's an underrated classic way ahead of its time. Roger Ebert said the script felt like the writer's personal masturbatory fantasies. He wasn't entirely wrong. Paul Verhoeven deliberately leaned into the absolute worst impulses of the entertainment machine. The story acts like it's exposing Vegas, but half the time the city is eating the camera alive. You watch characters backstab and exploit each other, and you just have to surrender to the sleaze. It takes serious audacity to make something this aggressively trashy and pretend it's high art. The experience exhausts you, but eventually you realize the joke was on us the whole time. Hitting rock bottom financially pushes two desperate roommates into the absolute worst business plan imaginable in Zack and Miri Make a Porno. Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks play flat broke friends who recruit local oddballs to shoot an adult film just to pay the bills. They stumble through the awkward process of acting like jaded professionals, only to realize they harbor massive, terrifying feelings for each other. Do you cross the line, or keep pretending everything's fine? Director Kevin Smith built his career on foul-mouthed slacker comedies like Jay and Silent Bob. Here, he captures exactly how scary risking a true connection feels. Underneath all the vulgarity, it's really about two idiots realizing they might ruin the only good relationship they have. The jokes are filthy, but then it sneaks up on you and turns into a brutally honest look at falling in love with your best friend. Shortbus is one of the most sexually explicit American films ever made outside the adult industry. You hear about the unsimulated scenes and naturally brace for underground shock value. Instead, you get a strangely sweet, funny story about lonely New Yorkers trying to connect. A couple's counselor fakes her orgasms. A dominatrix feels completely burned out. A gay couple wonders if opening their relationship will save them or destroy them. They all drift into a chaotic underground Brooklyn salon looking for something to fix them. The shock wears off fast. John Cameron Mitchell didn't just cast actors and hand them a script. He found people willing to be that exposed, then built the characters through long improvisation workshops, which is why the intimacy feels so lived in and messy. Everyone's terrified of isolation and desperate for something real. Do you keep pushing intimacy away, or dive straight into the chaos and risk getting hurt? The explicit scenes pull you in. Beneath the unsimulated scenes is a surprisingly heartfelt film about loneliness and love. When Lars von Trier dropped Nymphomaniac Volume 1, the media circus almost buried the film. Countries pushed for bans, theaters demanded censored cuts, and critics lost their minds over the unsimulated scenes. All that panic built this dangerous reputation around the title. But the movie itself is stranger than the outrage. An older bachelor finds a woman beaten half to death in a snowy alley, brings her inside, and simply asks how she got there. Her answer becomes a graphic confession about sex, shame, and the damage she keeps repeating. Charlotte Gainsbourg plays her like someone already done defending herself. Shia LaBeouf shows up in her past as one of the men caught in that spiral, while Stellan Skarsgård sits across from her, completely calm, interrupting her trauma with fly fishing, math, and classical music comparisons. You've probably never seen anything else like it. A completely unique film about sex that somehow keeps stripping every scene of pleasure until all that's left is guilt, habit, and a person trying to explain why she keeps burning her own life down. Gaspar Noé shooting unsimulated sex in 3D for his film Love. It sounds like a cheap stunt to piss off the Cannes Film Festival. The midnight premiere triggered a huge controversy, sparking strict censorship fights across Russia and France. But the outrage actually worked as bait. You walk in expecting pure scandal, when the gimmick really traps you inside a massive hangover. A guy wakes up on New Year's Day, finds out his toxic ex is missing, locks his door, and gets high. Then his memory just starts breaking apart. The movie feels completely woozy and druggy. Time keeps folding back on itself. One minute he's staring at the ceiling, the next he's inside a nasty argument or a hyper-explicit hookup. The graphic stuff loses the shock value fast. It turns into two people tearing each other apart because they have zero idea how to communicate. It sells itself like a stunt, but what you really get is 2 hours of 3D regret. 3 women fly into New York for a wedding, and the bride is the girl they bullied in high school. She got the ring first, and they absolutely can't handle it. You think you're getting the usual bridesmaid comedy where everyone cries in a bathroom and learns to be a better friend. Bachelorette refuses to play along. Kirsten Dunst, Lizzie Kaplan, and Isla Fisher spend the night tearing through the city, making everything worse. 3 cokehead bridesmaids destroy a dress, a friendship, and basically any chance of pretending this is a feel-good comedy. They're still trapped in high school, only now there's a wedding they're quietly trying to sabotage. The movie knows some friendships don't turn toxic. They were always toxic. A high school valedictorian decides she needs sexual experience right before college. So she builds a literal curriculum. The to-do list approaches losing your virginity the exact same way someone might prep for AP Calculus. She drags her friends into this highly clinical, color-coded mission to check off a binder full of explicit acts before the summer ends. It plays out like the most awkwardly horny homework assignment ever filmed. Aubrey Plaza treats sex like a school project, which somehow makes the movie both filthy and weirdly responsible. She has no interest in actual romance. She just wants an A+ in hooking up. The script takes the usual R-rated awkwardness of a teen comedy and filters it directly through the brain of a terrifying overachiever. Sex Drive actually pulls off the best middle finger to the unrated DVD era. Studios used to force comedies to drop unrated DVD cuts just to sell extra skin. You buy the disc expecting a few standard deleted scenes. Instead, the director completely sabotages his own film. He threw in random CGI nudity that has absolutely zero to do with the plot. Naked people just randomly walk through the background of totally normal conversations. He drops in useless alternate takes purely to waste your time. The unrated cut skips the usual cash grab format. It literally acts as a massive prank on anyone who bought the DVD just to see more skin. Underneath the gag, there's a standard teen road trip comedy about a guy stealing a car to meet an internet crush. The unrated version just lets a director actively mock his own audience. Right before South Park blew up, Matt Stone and Trey Parker were running around LA scraping together a comedy about the adult film industry. They had absolutely zero budget. They actually hired real adult stars like Ron Jeremy simply because they couldn't afford standard union actors. The MPAA took one look at the explicit dialogue and slapped the film with a strict NC-17 rating. Matt and Trey completely refused to cut a single frame. They just took the hit. Underneath that heavy rating, Orgasmo plays as the most innocent, dirty movie ever made. A Mormon missionary becomes an adult movie superhero, and somehow the joke is that he's still the cleanest guy in the room. Trey plays the lead, a guy who only agrees to act on camera to pay for his wedding back in Utah. He flat out refuses to do anything explicit. He literally tags in a stunt double for the bedroom scenes and fights crime with a weapon that causes instant climax. There's barely any actual skin on screen. They caught the harshest censorship rating possible to hide a genuinely sweet story about a guy who just wants to marry his fiancée. People give Airplane and Animal House all the credit for inventing modern spoof comedy. But that formula was already being tested a year earlier in a dirt-cheap experiment called the Kentucky Fried Movie. They scraped together cash to shoot a bizarre string of fake commercials and late-night television trash. With zero plot tying anything together, the movie just jumps blindly from a headache ad where a guy gets mauled by an ape, straight into a 30-minute Bruce Lee martial arts parody that eats up half the runtime. They even dragged in former James Bond actor George Lazenby just to stand around in a pointless sketch. It feels exactly like flipping channels on a broken television set at 2 in the morning. You can watch them testing out the scattershot style that would make them rich. Some bits land hard, while others push a joke until it completely breaks down. They didn't care about structure. They just wanted to see what they could get away with on camera. If you're adding any of these to your watch list, hit like and subscribe. We'll dig up more weird streaming finds in the next one.